Hi friends, it's Mimi here, and you are going to love this story, especially if you're familiar with the Mother Goose stories. It's so funny. This one is called What Really Happened to Humpty? From the Files of a Hard-Boiled Detective by Joe Dumpty, as told by Jeanie Franz Ransom and illustrated by Stephen Axelsen. Now, this is Joe Dumpty. He's Humpty Dumpty's brother. Did you know that Humpty Dumpty had a brother? I didn't. Had no idea. But he thinks that something smells rotten in this whole Humpty falling off the wall thing. He doesn't think it was an accident. Do you think it was an accident? Can he prove it wasn't an accident? Well, you have to listen to find out. Join me. What Really Happened to Humpty by Joe Dumpty, as told by Jeanie Franz Ransom and illustrated by Stephen Axelsen. From the Files of a Hard-Boiled Detective. Oh my, this looks like it's going to be a fun one. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Humpty Dumpty was pushed. At least I think so. Who am I? I'm Joe Dumpty, Humpty's younger brother. I didn't know Humpty Dumpty had a younger brother. You probably haven't heard of me. I never was Mother's favorite. Mother Goose, that is. Ever since she became Police Chief Goose, she thinks I'm just stirring up trouble with my detective business. Yes, Mother Goose always liked Humpty best. He's such a good egg. That's why I think it's a crime that he fell off the wall. After all, he'd been sitting up there for as long as I can remember with no problems whatsoever, until that awful scrambled up day. It was a picture-perfect morning. The old woman who lives in a shoe had just dropped off her kids at the Jack and Jill daycare center. The three little pigs were putting the finishing touches on their latest house, and across the field, Humpty was sitting on the wall. I wish I'd stopped to crack a few jokes with my brother, but it was Humpty's first week as captain of our new neighborhood watch program, and I didn't want to distract him. See, there he is. He's looking out over the neighborhood. Besides, it was almost 9 and I had to get to work. I made a quick stop and ran into Little Red Riding Hood. The Muffet Man's scrambling to fill a big order, Red said. I can't even buy one lousy muffin for my grandmother. She sniffed loudly and stomped off in a huff. With my espresso in hand, I headed to the office. If you want a muffin, you're out of luck. As I opened my office door, the phone rang. It was little Miss Muffet. Joe, something's happened to Humpty. I raced to the wall. Miss Muffet was there, cell phone in hand. I called 911, she sobbed. I looked at my brother. He wasn't making a sound. Whoever did this was gonna fry. At least he landed sunny side up. I walked back around the wall, and that's when I saw it. Something shiny was tucked under Miss Muffet's tuffet. She was on the phone, so I didn't bother asking if I could look under her tuffet. I just did. Sometimes detectives have to act first and ask questions later. Can you see what's under there? It was a pair of binoculars. Not just any binoculars. These puppies were the official binoculars of the neighborhood watch program. Humpty had been showing them off ever since he'd become captain. Were you looking under my tuffet? What are you doing with those? Muffy asked, grabbing the binoculars. I was just about to ask her the same thing when all the king's horses and all the king's men arrived. They couldn't put Humpty together again, so they scooped him up and rushed him to the hospital. What's the story? I asked Muffy. I want some answers. Muffy sighed. I was just shooting the breeze with Humpty, waiting for a spider. Humpty was letting me try his binoculars when suddenly this huffy-puffy wind blew him right off the wall. Oh no. Police Chief Goose pulled up in her big honking cruiser. I was at the Three Pigs, she apologized. The wind we had this morning blew down their new house. I just told Joe that the wind made Humpty fall, Muffy said. I made Humpty fall, said a small voice out of nowhere. It's my fault, Spider said, dropping down from the tree. I was rushing to get down here by 9 this morning, my usual time, when this puff of wind pushed me straight toward Humpty. I must have scared him because the next thing I know, Humpty was on the ground. I zipped home, but I knew I had to fess up. Humpty was my friend. I almost wet my web. Oh no. My brother wasn't afraid of anything. That's why he was the perfect neighborhood watch captain. What happened to Humpty wasn't your fault, Spider, I said. Remember the giant? It wasn't anybody's fault, Muffy chimed in. It was an accident. Agreed, Chief Goose said. Go on to the hospital, Joe, she told me. I'll write up an accident report. Accident report? No way. There's no case to crack. But Chief, Humpty's been sitting on the wall for years without a wobble, I said. Then the first week he's neighborhood watch captain, he suddenly falls off? The same day the pig's house blows down? Coincidence? I don't think so. Chief Goose sighed. Okay, Joe, since Humpty's your brother, I'll give you till 5 o'clock to play detective. If you don't have anything by then, I'm writing that accident report. Do you think it was an accident? Or do you think somebody tried to harm Humpty? I didn't have much time. I hurried to the hospital. Thanks to the miracles of modern technology, combined with some nifty techniques the doctors discovered when Jack fell down and broke his crown, Humpty was on the mend, but he didn't remember a thing. I needed to hit the streets and question a few characters myself. I'm shell-shocked. My first stop was the Bears. I rang the doorbell 3 times and was about to give up when the door opened to reveal a bare foot. I was expecting a bare foot. Get it? Barefoot meaning there's no shoes on, but he was expecting a foot from a bear. I showed the blonde my badge and asked about the bear's whereabouts. I'm house sitting, she said. Late night? I asked. Oh, early morning. Some dog started howling and woke me up. How early? I probed. 9 a.m., she said. But now that I'm awake, want to come in for some porridge? Sorry, I'm on a low-carb diet. I hated to tell her no, but I was on the clock, and that clock was ticking. Who do you think the blonde is? That's right, Goldilocks. We read about her a little while ago. Next house I visited belonged to the only dog owner in the neighborhood, old Mother Hubbard. Maybe her pup had been howling this morning, but Mrs. H said, I gave my dog to the farmer in the dell last week. He needed help with his sheep, and unlike mine, his cupboard is never bare. Mrs. H shook her head sadly when I told her about Humpty. I never would have done anything to Humpty, not even to feed my poor dog. Maybe you should talk to my neighbor, Mrs. H added. She seemed to be in a big hurry this morning. She's a crazy chicken. Who's that crazy chicken? You know it, Chicken Little. Chicken Little answered the door, looking more nervous than usual. Am I in trouble? I played it cool. You tell me, I said, keeping a close eye on her in case she tried to fly the coop. If it's about what happened this morning, it's not my fault, Chicken Little said. The sky is falling, the sky is falling. Beep! You know what happened this morning? Of course I know, she shouted. The sky fell, and I didn't warn anyone. I've learned to keep my beak shut. The sky didn't fall this morning, I said. Humpty did. From her surprised look, I knew she was innocent. He's gonna be okay, I said. I love that egg like he's one of my own, Chicken Little sniffed. I handed the tender chicken a tissue. So tell me where you were around 9, I said. I was on my morning power walk, she answered. I just passed Muffy and Humpty when the wind howled overhead. I just walked behind the wall, and the next thing I knew, Humpty was falling. I ran straight home. Was Humpty sitting on the wall when you saw him? Yes, but Muffy wasn't sitting on her tuffet. Chicken Little paused. That's funny. She's usually digging into her curds and whey. Funny indeed. Do you think there's something suspicious going on here? Let's read to find out. As I left my friend clucking to herself and scanning the sky, I heard a commotion coming from the pig's house. What was left of it, anyway. Huff, puff, huff, huff, puff. I need more exercise, I thought as I raced across the field. How many times had I heard people say that today? Not the more exercise part, the huff, puff part. And as in huffy, puffy wind. I found the pigs fighting over, of all things, a cell phone. I thought everyone had one of those these days. Apparently not. Okay, guys, hand it over, I said. Whose phone is this? Give me it. It's my turn. I had it first. We don't know, the pigs said. We found it this morning after our house blew down. Can we keep it? It has some cool games on it. Oh. Just then the phone rang. Actually, it howled. Who would have a howl for a ringtone? I took a guess and disguised my voice. Yo, I growled. I got the binoculars, the voice on the phone said. Now I want my yummy wummy muffins. We had a deal, remember? Be at the wall in 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, it would be 5 o'clock. Yikes! I called Chief Goose and told her to meet me at the wall. The clues were adding up. The muffins that no one else could buy, the howling that didn't come from a dog, the huffy puffy wind, not to mention the binoculars that someone wanted bad. But why? I had a hunch. Muffy was at the wall, binoculars in hand. She didn't look too happy to see me. Expecting someone else, I asked? Someone big and bad, perhaps? She's expecting me, howled the big bad wolf as he jumped out and grabbed the binoculars. I'll take those. Where are my muffins? Screamed Muffy. I'm sick of curds and whey. Sorry, doll, plans changed, growled Wolf. You pushed Humpty off the wall, I said. I'm telling Chief Goose. I wasn't at the wall this morning, Wolf said. But you were at the pig's house, I said, showing Wolf his phone. When you blew down their house, you got Humpty too. Guess you wanted a scrambled egg with your bacon. Wolf just wanted the binoculars, Muffy cried. He promised me some yummy wummy muffins if I get them from Humpty. No one was supposed to get hurt. Muffins. And nobody else will if you give me my phone, Joe, and get out of my way, Wolf snarled. My, what big teeth he has, I thought. Where was Chief Goose? Hold it, shrieked Spider. Not so fast. Talk about wrapping up a case. What did the spider do? She spun a web really quick around the wolf. What's going on here? Chief Goose had arrived. It seems that the howling wind this morning was actually Wolf blowing down the pig's new house, and Humpty along with it, I told the chief. That's my theory anyway. What about Muffy? Chief asked. Actually, it's a conspiracy theory, I said. Wolf promised our little miss muffins in exchange for Humpty's binoculars. Without the binoculars, Humpty couldn't see Wolf blow down the pig's house. Looks like you have everything tied up. Oh, they tied up Miss Muffet too. Apparently, Wolf also threatened to blow down the Muffin Man's shop unless he got free muffins, Chief Goose said. The guy's been hiding in a sack of sugar all day. Sweet, Wolf snarled. Muffy glared at him. I wouldn't have helped you had I known the truth. Humpty was my friend. Now he'll probably never speak to me again. You can always call him from your cell to apologize, I told her. Your jail cell, that is. So why'd you do it, Wolf? I asked. I'm bad, he said, shrugging his shoulders. It's my middle name. I have to hand it to you, Joe, Chief Goose said. You were right. What happened to Humpty really was a crime. You weren't afraid to trust your gut and to get to the bottom of this. I'm proud of you, Joe. I'm sorry, Joe. I have to admit, I was proud of me too, and of my brave friend Spider. In fact, Spider's the neighborhood watch captain while Humpty's healing. As for me, I've had plenty of cases to solve, dozens of them, in fact. Word on the street is that Dish ran away with the spoon. And then there's my friend Bo Peep that is. That dame keeps me in business. Now, if I were a sheep, where would I go? So, what did you think of what really happened to Humpty? Did you know from the start? Did you know the truth? It was a surprise to me too. Who knew? I love stories like this when it's told from a different person's perspective and you hear the behind the scenes, right? Like when a book is told from the big bad wolf's perspective or something like that. So I really enjoyed this. I hope you did too. And if you did, give it a thumbs up, share with everyone you know, subscribe to our channel, and we will see you next week for another Read Aloud. Bye-bye.